He might want to jab his way out.
There's a left hand for Davis.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and enjoy the show. What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and today we're going to go over Tank Davis's punch stats, specifically his overall output and his power shots over his last 3 fights, which make Gervonta Davis pretty much impossible to beat. Guys, we know yesterday Tank Davis officially announced his next fight with Frank Martin, and in lieu of this, I want to revisit his last 3 fights against Ryan Garcia, Hector Garcia, and Rolly Romero, and we're going to dissect all 3 and talk about his overall punch stats, his power, which led to those knockouts. A few things about Tank Davis, facts that we always talk about: his perfect, unblemished record. He's 29-0 with 27 knockouts. He is 29 years old, and he's a southpaw with load to power. He stands at 5'5.5", and he has a 67.5 reach. Tank Davis is also the current WBA World Lightweight Champion. All right, now let's take a look at the stats that led to that TKO in the 6th against Rolly Romero. This fight took place at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and it was for the WBA regular lightweight title. Gervonta Davis, 27-0 with 25 knockouts, stopped Rolly Romero, 14-1 with 12 knockouts, with a huge left hand in the 6th round. Guys, prior to this fight, Gervonta Davis had landed 48% of his power punches against Rolly Romero. Davis landed only 34% of his power punches. Davis averaged 14 punches thrown per round against Romero, well below his prior average of 36 punches thrown per round. 48% of the punches that Davis landed were to Romero's body. In a competitive fight, Davis closed the show in the 6th when he landed a big counter left hand as Romero walked in. Romero went down hard. He was able to beat the count, but his legs were gone, and the referee waved off the fight. Let's break down some of the stats. When we talk about Tank Davis, we talk about a patient and precise puncher. One of the things Tank does really well is that he could lure you into a dogfight, but he could also counter. And he also has power coming from the southpaw stance, which makes him ultra dangerous as you're punching backwards, or at least trying to. He likes smothering your space and smothering you when he's putting the pressure on, and if he smells blood in the water, it's usually, and it's always been thus far, over for you. Overall, neither one of these guys were going to try to set the jab up too much. When you look at the jab numbers over 6 rounds, Tank only threw 26, Rolly threw 39. Tank landed 5 jabs at a 19% rate. Rolly landed 3 jabs at an 8% rate. So the lack of jabs tell you that both were circling away from their power side and were more interested in turning the lights out quick with a power shot of their own. That's why it was a little bit static in the early rounds. Both guys were trying to figure each other out. Now let's talk about that power. Tank Davis threw an overall 58 power shots, landed 20 at a 35% clip, and Rolly threw 76, landed only 19 at a 25% clip. So Rolly threw more, landed less. This also still sticks to the narrative about Tank Davis being a patient slugger. He takes his shots when he could get them, and he really doesn't like forcing too many, so he leaves it up to his opponent to set their power up, and generally this allows Tank to counter and end the show, and that's exactly what happened here. And overall, guys, in 6 rounds, these numbers aren't going to be anything to write home to mom about. Tank only threw 84 punches in the whole fight, landed 25 at a 30% clip. Rolly outpunched him, but didn't land as much. He threw 115, only landed 22 at a 19% clip. If you guys want to beat Tank Davis, you have to be more precise. You have to outpunch him, but there's a double-edged sword there. You must outland him as well, and that's the recipe and the secret that Rolly Romero couldn't figure out. Now let's take a look at the fight with Tank Davis and Hector Garcia. This fight ended via TKO in the 9th.
Hector Luis El Androide Garcia.
In a battle for the WBA regular lightweight title, Gervonta Davis, 28-0, 26 knockouts, stopped previously undefeated Hector Luis Garcia, 16-1 with 10 knockouts in 8 rounds when Garcia did not come out for the 9th. Garcia indicated to his corner at the start of the ninth that he was unable to see from his right eye and stayed on the stool. As usual, Gervonta Davis started conservatively. In the first 3 rounds, he landed a total of 9 punches against Hector Garcia. Then in rounds 4 through 8, Davis landed 69 power punches. He was particularly effective in the 8th round, where he landed 29 of 39 at a clip of 74% of his power shots. And this fight was the story of Tank Davis starting out slow, wanting to see what Hector was going to show him, and then figuring him out early, computing that data, and then turning it on and getting that stoppage. Let's talk about the jabs real quick. Now, Garcia had the right idea, he just didn't commit. He threw 157 jabs and only landed 5 at a 3% clip. Tank threw 100, landed 26 at a 26% clip. That jab output on Garcia told you that the game plan was to use your jab to get inside. But I guarantee Hector's handlers were disappointed with him not committing. Well, that power Tank carries is a pretty good dejector on trying to get into the pocket. So that's another X factor about Tank Davis, how he can negate an opponent's game plan without even throwing a punch. Just the fear of that punch is enough. In this instance, it was. Let's talk about the power shots. Hector Garcia threw 188 and landed 50 at a 27% clip. Tank Davis threw 139 and landed 73 at a 53% clip. Tank Davis threw 50 less power shots but landed 23 more. Why is that? Because he knew where he wanted to go with his shots. Guys, in boxing, if you waste your punches, more often than not, it's not going to turn out good in your favor. We talked about this a couple days ago, talking about Tank Davis. He doesn't waste his shots. He's throwing with intent, and this statistic is a perfect example of that. Total shots, Garcia 55 out of 345 at 16%. Tank 99 out of 239 at 41%. Another example of one of Tank's opponents out-throwing him, but nowhere close coming to outlanding him. And this is the narrative of Tank Davis's career. This is the narrative of how you want to beat Tank. It's easier said than done by guys like me. You have to outland him, not just outthrow him. And so far, nobody has been able to figure out that puzzle. Let's take a closer look at Tank Davis's last fight against Ryan Garcia.
3/4 and 138 1/4 in his last 2 fights.
Introducing King Ryan Garcia.
Usually landing 43% of your power punches, as Ryan Garcia did, equates to success. However, that wasn't enough against Gervonta Davis, who landed 48% of his power punches. Davis's first landed power punch of the fight sent Garcia to the canvas in round 2. Garcia landed 24% of his total punches, well below his career 31% connect rate. Davis landed 34% of his punches, which is in line with his career 35% connect rate. After a tense 6 rounds, one body punch from Davis put Garcia down and rendered him unable to continue in the 7th. Let's take a closer look at those total jabs thrown. Now, in the fight, when you look at these total jabs broken down, you see that Ryan Garcia started off with a game plan of wanting to set the jab, but he abandoned that quickly due to that body shot early on. He only ended up throwing 106 and landing 15 at a 14% clip. Tank, once again, he's never going to win a prize for best jab in boxing. He only threw 40 and landed 5 at a 13% clip. The power punches and the body shots is Tank's bread and butter as he gets on and on in his career. It's what he's becoming more famous for, that knockout power both to the head and to the body. Garcia knew this. Garcia's power punches, he threw 57 and only landed 24 at a 42% clip. Tank threw 63 and landed 30 at a 47% clip. If you're throwing half of your shots as body shots and power punches and you're landing half, you're going to do pretty well. And if you're not setting a jab up against an opponent like that, you're going to leave yourself against the ropes with a lot of issues and a lot of problems to answer. Total shots, Ryan threw 163, landed 39 at a 24% clip. Davis only threw 103 and landed 35 at a 34% clip. The total body shots tell a bigger story. Garcia only landed 7, while Davis landed 18, and he knew right away when he dropped him to the body early on, that was going to be his bread and butter, and Garcia's knock has been his body throughout his career. This is what Tank took advantage of. A lot of things that'll go unsaid because you have a fighter like Tank with such great power is people sometimes can forget that ring generalship and that fight IQ. Also, how he can handle a game plan. And this is something that Tank Davis does expertly. He comes out, he starts a little bit slow, he sees what you're going to give him, and as soon as he sees an opening, he saw that opening with Ryan in the second with the body, he jumps, smells blood in the water, and he gets you out of there. This is what makes Tank Davis such a hard puzzle to solve. Guys, if you have a fighter that you want me to break statistics down, fighter or fights, let me know in the comment section below.
For the first time in paralyzing fashion.